Welcome back to Koon's Ford Terp Talk. Call 410-481-1300 now. Once again, here's Bruce Posner.
All right, back here on segment 2 of Koon's Ford Terp Talk. We have Maryland's athletic director, Kevin Anderson, on the show tonight. And Kevin, let's switch over to basketball. And first, a big part of the schedule upgrade this year, in my opinion, is the addition of a home game with Georgetown. And tell us, I know it's something you wanted from the day you got here, but you were rebuffed time after time. You made every offer possible. How did it finally come down?
You know, Bruce, the Big Ten sat down with the folks at the Big East, and they are having a similar basketball challenge as the ACC and the Big Ten challenge. And so Commissioner Delaney helped get it done, and they were looking at having regional games, and it only made sense for us to play Georgetown. And through the collaboration of the Big East, Georgetown, and the Big Ten, we're going to make it happen. You know, it's just great for the region. It's great for basketball, great for the country, because it's going to be televised. It's going to be a national television game. And so people want to see great basketball. And with the tradition of the two schools, I am glad to see it finally happening.
Yeah, certainly playing Georgetown at all the sports to me is great. And why this basketball thing ever happened, I'll never understand. But at least now it's over. And we will return the favor next year, correct? And go to, I guess, the Verizon Center to play Georgetown?
Yes, that's what I think the plan is.
Okay. Somebody who was under a lot of heat the past few years, Mark Turgeon, he proved all the doubters wrong with maybe one of the best basketball coaching jobs in the nation this year, taking certainly using a point guard to kind of carry your team into levels that no one ever thought, especially going 14-4 in the Big Ten.
Well, it was just tremendous for us to have this inaugural season in the Big Ten for both basketball programs and how well we did. And I mean, Mark did a tremendous job. In the beginning of the year, I think that we were picked to be 10th in the Big Ten. And there were a lot of people that were concerned about all the transfers, but I think that there's a lot to show that if you have a healthy locker room and you have chemistry and you put together a team with people who love one another and want to play for one another, you get the results we did this year.
What a great job by him, and we don't have to say anything more that Maryland's being talked about as being number 1, 2, 3 in the country. And I know the Rashid Suleiman addition was somebody that Turgeon knew for years, and I know you vetted out the whole situation, and this is going to be some starting lineup for Maryland. Walt Williams told me the other day, Kevin, that's 5 NBA players in our starting lineup. Well,
I know that they're good basketball players, but they're better people. And I've had the opportunity to sit down with Rashid, and we talked about many things that have happened in his life. And he's a very thoughtful and a very articulate young man. And that again, as you said, Mark's known him since the 7th grade, and Mark told me how much he believes in and trusts in him, and she was able to share the same thing with his relationship with Coach Turgeon, and I think it's going to be great for the young man as well as our program. And then, the young people that we have coming back, and I just won't go through each and every one because we probably go in the next hour or so, but what a tremendous team and tremendous young men, and very proud to be part of that. And Brenda's going to bring back another great team. She, again, she'll have a tremendous recruiting class. And, Final Four appearances 2 years in a row. You can't speak highly enough of what she's done for our program and where it is concerning women's basketball. So, again, I'm just so glad and blessed to be around great coaches, great staffs, and great young people.
All right, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you for an update on the Under Armour facility. How's that coming, and when can we really expect a completion of that?
Well, right now, everything's on schedule, and the Cole Field House and the Terrapin High Performance Center will be completed in 2 phases. The indoor practice facility will probably be ready by the spring of 2017, and then following that with the Performance Center, we're looking at 2018. It's going to be a phenomenal building. And, the great thing about this project, it definitely is combining academics and athletics. And, we'll have partners with the engineering school, the business school, the journalism school. We're going to have a strong presence of the medical school coming up from Baltimore and being part of our family here on campus. So, it's going to make so many connections and bring in the entire campus community that, it's a very exciting program, and that most people on campus, all people on campus are looking forward to being part of this.
You talk about academics, and we have to certainly mention something that you're probably most proud of, and that is the tremendous improvement in the APR success of all athletic teams. I'll never understand how the APR works, but I know that we're doing – I can't understand it for my life, but I know that the University of Maryland, including football, which was always a problem in basketball, has been doing much, much better, correct?
Well, we're committed to the total student, and if you when I'm introduced to parents and recruits, the first thing I talk to them about that we're going to develop the whole person here, and our expectations and standards are going to be just as high, if not higher, academically, well as athletically, and that we're going to compete at the highest level. And we're committed to make sure that when we bring these young people in, they're going to be better people and develop people by the time they leave here, and that they're going to be productive citizens wherever they go for the state of Maryland, if they live somewhere else in this country or internationally, that, we want to have that reputation that we're developing great people that are going to do great things in their lives.
One thing I can tell my audience that, again, this is Bruce Posner. You're listening to Koon's 4 Terp Talk. I can tell my audience that Kevin Anderson never delegates problems to other people. I've seen you when there are certain student athletes with problems or with attitudes or whatever, you seem to almost demand of yourself to get involved. And I can't, how much respect that's brought you from the students and certainly from the coaches, but I commend you for that. You charge the problem. I mean, you have a zillion people you can delegate to, but when the going gets tough, Kevin Anderson jumps in there.
Well, thank you, Bruce. I go back to talking about when I sit down and meet the parents and the young people, the one thing that is very important in my conversation is that if you're showing the amount of trust that you have in our program and this university, and that you're going to send your young man or your daughter to our institution, then I'm going to make sure that we do everything possible to make sure that they're getting the best education and being held to a standard. And sometimes, we all kind of fall one way or the other, and we might not be holding to the standard. And we're going to have those conversations and talk about what the expectation is of being a Maryland man or woman. And that the other thing, if we have a young person that has a discretion, the thing that I try to explain, and then we talk about this, is the expectations that are at home, and that, it's just not about them, but it's about, who you left at home, what your community thinks of you, because every community that sends a student up to the University of Maryland that represents this college and represents our community, there's high standards, and that, we talk about who we're letting down, because what we do here is much broader than the individual, and that we need to think about how it affects people and communities.
Kevin, that we expect, and you do as well, to compete for national championships in both lacrosse sports and both basketball sports and field hockey and soccer and wrestling. I mean, it's just the fact that the University of Maryland will always demand that kind of competition. To demand that from the football team is a little unfair. I don't think that standard is there yet. What's your time frame, or when do you think, this time frame could develop Maryland's football team into that national kind of power? That's a tough question, I know.
Not really, Bruce, because the expectation is now. And so we're doing things to position ourselves so we can compete at that national level and that we can compete for Big Ten championships and then eventually, getting to the national championship. And so you just touched upon it earlier. One of the things is making the investment into the Terrapin High Performance Center, where we're going to be able to help our athletes get bigger, stronger, faster, and help them academically. And so I think that this recent recruiting class that have verbally committed to us, that part of way they have is that they see what we're doing as a program and they want to be part of it.
Yeah, it's certainly positive, and of course we can't talk about names or anything, but I'm a firm believer in Coach Etzel, and certainly our first year in the Big Ten to me would have been a tremendous success if we just held on to beat Rutgers, but sometimes things don't work out perfectly. Couple questions about some issues of college sports right now I wanted to get your opinion on. All these transfers, Kevin. Now, Maryland has lost its share of people, but let me tell you, they have benefited, certainly in basketball this year, with Robert Carter Jr. and Rashid Suleiman coming in, and lacrosse has had its share of great transfers come in. Where does this end? It's almost like a kid plays, and if he's not happy with his time, he's gone. How does this end?
That's a good question, Bruce. I think one of the beginnings of it is that if we look at how we recruit and when we recruit, that it gets younger and younger. And I don't believe that when you're looking at somebody who might not even be in high school yet, and you're talking about them committing to a specific school, even at being a junior in high school, how set are you on in most anything you're going to do in life? So the thing I think is that we have to be realistic in that we need to give these young people more of an opportunity to gather experience and so they could make a better decision. Because, you have young people now that will make a trip to a school and say, okay, that's where I want to go. And, they might still be, they might be freshmen in high school. Well, kind of hard to make a decision that you want to go to one place when you haven't had the opportunity or taken the opportunity to visit and to explore other opportunities. So I think that's where we first have to start looking at this. The other thing that people talk about all the time is that, if the coaches could move and, they could take another job and they don't have to sit out, well, you have a hard time arguing that the student athletes shouldn't be able to have the same opportunities as the coaches. So, I think it's something that we're going to have to live with, and I think that eventually what you'll see is that young people will be able to transfer and play immediately.
Yeah, it's a tough topic, and certainly like Maryland lacrosse has been guilty of recruiting ninth graders. But if Tillman didn't do it, everybody else is doing it. So it's really going to take the NCAA to come down to change something.
Correct, Bruce. Because if he didn't do it, then he would be left behind, and definitely we wouldn't have advanced to where we had in the last 4 or 5 years. But I think that we have to sit down and really look at this in totality about how we better connect the academic mission with the athletic, and that we're going to have to make some pretty difficult decisions in the very near future to make sure that we get back on path where we have the same focus on academics as we do athletics.
Kevin, we got to go to another break. Can I hang you for one more segment?
Yes, let me just let Mrs. Anderson know that.
Well, let me do this then. Let me go a couple questions, and then we'll let you go. Okay. You give me quick answers. Number one, ticket sales in basketball and football. I know that they're off the charts in basketball. Has football improved this year?
Yes, so last year we increased the season tickets by 25%. It's not up, we're looking at 5 to 6% this year so far. So, it's been a tremendous growth in not only football and basketball, but with wrestling, gymnastics, baseball had a banner season. So across the board, we could see that there is an excitement that the Big Ten has brought to our university, and that, one of the correlations that we could put our finger on immediately is that the answer has to be the Big Ten and the excitement of bringing these great universities into our campus, and people want to come out and watch.
All right, Terrapin Scholarship Fund Program. We doing good with that this year? Is that improving?
It's improving, but it's not improving as fast as I would like it to do. And I'm encouraging all the Terps out there that are listening that if you're not part of it, you need to be, because all the money goes to scholarships. And there's no better investment that you can make in these young people that we have for our program and how they represent our university and our state. So if you're not a member, please join. And I think it will be very fulfilling for those who do so.
All right, last question. Maryland followers like me, and you know more than anyone, always have that little chip on their shoulder. Have you developed this kind of an attitude as well?
I'll tell you this, that from time to time, I have questioned if we have received the kind of respect that I believe that this university deserves. And I'm talking about far beyond Kevin Anderson coming here and everything else. And so it does make me a little more competitive, and it does want me to prove our worth. And, that's the sad thing about this, because the rich history of this university and the accomplishments that it has made, not only athletically, but with academic honors and everything else, we definitely should not have a chip on our shoulders. And that I think that we are one of the top universities in the world, let alone this country.
Kevin, all I can say is you are an absolute true Terp, and I could not pay you a bigger compliment than that. And my times with you are very special to me, and I thank you so much for coming on the show today, and I guess we'll see you soon, maybe in Omaha. You never know, do you?
Well, see, I'm glad that you mentioned that, and I didn't, because we need to make a promise to one another that I know there's some tremendous steakhouses in Omaha, and I'm going to buy you that steak dinner.
All right. Well, I owe you one for coming on the show, so maybe we'll flip for it. All right?
Take care now.
All right, Kevin, thanks so much for coming on.
Okay, bye-bye.
This is Bruce Posner. You're listening to Koon's Ford Terp Talk, and we'll be back in a few minutes here on CBS Sports Radio 1300. Bruce Posner here with a message brought to you by Chesapeake Urology. Guys, if you broke your right arm, would you just say, heck, I'll live with it, and make do with the left? Of course not. So why is it so many men with erectile dysfunction throw up their hands, assume it's just a part of getting older, and choose to live with it? The experts at Chesapeake Urology have treatments that can help virtually all men resume a normal sex life. Whether you're 48, 64, or 84, their doctors specialize in ED, and most treatments aren't covered by insurance. Even if you've tried pills without success, the specialists at Chesapeake Urology can show you better treatments. Don't live with something you don't have to. Call Chesapeake Urology at 877-422-8237. That's 877-422-8237. 888-484-8237. I just discovered a great little neighborhood gourmet pizza and Italian-type restaurant in the Harbor area. Bagby Pizza on 1006 Fleet Street is just a great, fun place to have lunch or dinner 7 days a week. Bagby's features gourmet pizza, pastas, and salads at more than reasonable prices. Service is quick, there's plenty of seating, happy hour specials Monday through Friday, 4 to 7 p.m. But most important, the food is superb. Bagby Pizza, 410-605-0444. Trust, honesty, integrity. That's the motto of Offit & Roth, PA, certified public accountants and business consultants. Clients of Offit & Roth get personalized quality service that is beyond comparison. Check out their extensive list of services at www.offitroth.com. Co-founder Alan Roth and his son Michael, a Maryland graduate, have extensive experience working with clients in virtually every industry. Call Offit & Roth at 410-356-6600. Cunningham's, part of the Bagby chain, the newest restaurant in town at One Olympic Place in Towson. Free valet parking, open every night. The food there is fantastic. I've been there. Decor, the whole atmosphere at Cunningham's is super. I highly, highly recommend it. But of course, when it's part of the Bagby chain and the Smith family, you know it's going to be a success. 410-339-7730. That's Cunningham's at One Olympic Place in Towson. The Baltimore Neurosurgery and Spine Center, operated by my cousin Ira Garanzik, Dr. Ira Garanzik, one of the best doctors in town. Their goal is to provide the highest quality of care to their patients. They strive to apply leading-edge treatment strategies, including complex spine or brain surgery, interventional pain management, and physical therapy. They are fellowship-trained, board-certified neurosurgeons and interventional pain specialists that specialize in treating all spinal and intracranial disorders. The group is led by Dr. Ira Garanzik, who is joined by Dr. James Conway in the field of neurological and spine surgery. Dr. Seth Kaufman specializes in interventional pain management. The Baltimore Neurosurgery and Spine Center is located at 5051 Greenspring Avenue. Call for an appointment at 410-664-3680. That's the Baltimore Neurosurgery and Spine Center, 410-664-3680. It's my pleasure to welcome the Supreme Neighborhood Market, Gourmet Again, to the TerpTalk family. Now under the new ownership of Andy Huffman, Gourmet Again on 3717 Old Court Road continues its tradition of being a specialty food market with all meals, soups, and sandwiches being homemade. My family and all of Northwest Baltimore knows that Gourmet Again is the best market around. Let Gourmet Again cater any party or special occasion that you are having. I absolutely love Gourmet Again. Call 410-484-9393. Gourmet Again is open 7 days a week. Visit them on the web at gourmetagain.com. The phone number, once again, 410-484-9393. That's Gourmet Again. TerpTalk is proud to welcome Glen Burnie Transmissions as a new sponsor. Located at 7166 Ritchie Highway in Glen Burnie. For over 50 years, Glen Burnie Transmissions offers free towing from the D.C. area. Transmissions for all imports and domestics. Go to www.gbt-online.com for a quotation or call President Mark Schwartzman at 800-458-2661. That's 800-458-2661. Glen Burnie Transmissions.
We hit terminus!